Welcome back, everyone. On your Do Now today, I want you to think about American presidents like Trump and Biden and Obama. How do you decide if they're a successful president or an unsuccessful president? What do you judge them based on? So, one of the things we'll do in this class is we will evaluate leaders. We will judge leaders as being good or bad. Um, we need to understand that, like, no one's perfect, right? No president is perfect. They all make mistakes. So, how do we judge them? How do we decide who is good and who's bad, who is successful and who's not? So, we'll look at pros and cons. What are some of the good accomplishments versus the bad? How do we weigh them? How well do they connect to the people? Right. So, maybe it's not about how much you got done, but how much you inspired people. How much does personality matter? Right. Do they have to have a certain charismatic personality to get you on their side, or is it all about the details? What do they actually do? Does the nation's success matter? All right. So if you're a good president, can you be considered a good president if the country is struggling? And how important is the economy to this? So we'll start talking about the first president, who was president towards the end of World War II up until about 1952. This is Harry Truman. He had a big impact on World War II, but also a really big impact on the Cold War. He was a Democrat, which is the same party as Joe Biden. He was president at the end of World War II. He is what containment gets named after, the Truman Doctrine. Right? It was him who first said we can't let communism spread. If it spreads to just one country, it's going to knock down dominoes, and all these countries are going to become communist. He sets up America's policy for the Cold War that they will not let communism spread. They're willing to go to war to stop it from spreading anywhere. He wanted to be very tough on communism. He was the one who okayed troops to Korea. He gave weapons to Greece. He supported Berlin. Right, he was going to be very tough. He was ready to go to war and willing to escalate it. Right, to stop communism. We'll watch a video on Harry Truman. Next president is going to be the president through the rest of the 1950s. Dwight Eisenhower is his name, nicknamed Ike. He is a Republican. He was the top general during World War II. So he's very influential in world politics. He was extremely popular in the United States. A lot of people served under him. He was in the news a lot during World War II. He was sort of an American hero. And he was respected by other countries too for his actions in World War II. So he's very popular in the United States and around the world. But he wasn't a politician. He'd never been a politician. He'd only been a soldier and a general. World War II ended, he retired and decided to get into politics and ran for president and won. So he's not sort of this politician guy. He's just a general. So he kind of confronts issues differently. He really wanted the America to be united with our allies as well. Get everyone together on the same page. He didn't want division within the country. Here's some pictures of him as a soldier. Here's pictures of him in World War II, his campaign pictures. So there's a lot of pros when it came to Eisenhower. He did a lot to unite the country. He won his elections overwhelmingly. People loved him. He ended the Korean War. He negotiated a lot of the end. And for the rest of his presidency, America was not in any wars. He was a peacetime president. He sort of calmed down a lot of the conflict with the USSR, got everyone to kind of back down from those nukes. But he turned the Cold War into more of a strategic thing. Right? It was all about strategy. What could you do to sort of put the Soviet Union at a disadvantage without actually having to go to war? The economy is really great during his presidency. People had jobs, making money, able to buy things. He created a lot of infrastructure, including the interstate system, but lots of bridges and railroads and airports. And he was responsible for ending lots of forms of segregation. He was the president who sent in troops to allow African American students to go to school in Little Rock. Right? So he oversaw a lot of the ends of segregation. On the other hand, he had this view that he was sort of like an old grandpa kind of leader. He wasn't very swift to act, he was very reflective. And a lot of people saw this as sort of a negative, that he wasn't really willing to do much. He sort of like sat back a lot. And though he did some stuff to end segregation, it wasn't really a big part of his presidency. He didn't really make it a goal. So yeah, he was involved, but like he could have been way more involved. He could have done a lot more to sort of end racism. He didn't stop McCarthyism. We talked about that a while ago. That was when people were fearful that like their neighbors were communists. There was this big fear that communist spies were everywhere. Eisenhower could have stepped in and tried to calm that down, but he didn't. He's also accused of letting America kind of fall behind technologically, that we weren't as advanced as the Soviet Union, that we didn't invest in like new technology and outer space and all this stuff. So a lot of people saw flaws there. We'll watch a video on Eisenhower as well. Your goal today is to research and find evidence about Eisenhower. So you want to be able to explain to me why he was successful or not. You're looking for two reasons. You're also looking for a source, like where'd you get this information from, and to find a quote as evidence. Tomorrow we'll do part 2.